All right, so this is something that was actually quite a bit of a suggestion for me to do. Um, if you've watched me for any period of time, you know I don't really enjoy doing these replay videos that much personally. Part of the problem is that I feel like you lose some of the real time feeling from the game. It's a lot more like I can go through this entire replay and talk about it and just be super rote about it. And it doesn't take into account like emotion. It doesn't take account much of the chat because you don't have time to sit here and read the whole chat and try to say if something somebody said was like outing fascist or whatever when you do a replay like this. But the suggestion for me was to go ahead and try recording some of these videos, a video of some of these replays. I mean that I thought would be instructional, and try to sort of guide players through the process of how to win Secret Hitler, essentially. And I thought, what better place to start than one that I won, and also I was in the position to carry because I'm not trying to sound overly proud of that or boastful, but you can say from experience, like it's easier for me to say from experience, this is what I was doing, this is why this happened, and so that it's easier for you to emulate, for instance. So this game goes fairly straightforward from the start, I think. 1-5 is force, 2-6 conflicts. Nothing too crazy there. Let's see, there were some votes I saw. Okay, so 2-3-4 tried to yaw yeah, okay. 2-3-4 tried to yaw 3 and then also tried to yaw 4. And they both got 9, and I'm in the position where I can yaw. Now, after 2-6 conflicts, you can see here, with the benefit of hindsight, that 5 is fascist. A lot of people would say that 2-6 conflicts to try and get 5 to take Env, or to get Env to 5, for instance, and that's why it does it. Same thing for if 1-5 comps, people will usually say, well, 3-7 has a fascist, usually 3 or 4 actually will have a fascist, and they're trying to get their fascist into play. That doesn't mean that you yaw as seat 7 or 9. You can see here 3-4 has a fascist as well. So, you never have any sort of 100% read. And in my opinion, at least, after seeing 2-3-4 yaw 3, you definitely can't then yaw 4, because that is you showing preference in seat 7 for a certain player. Like, obviously, yawing 4 would be preferable with the benefit of hindsight, but before that, you can't know. So that's why I 9-4, even though I see 3 yaws and I'm in a position where I could yaw. If you're going to yaw, I'd say you always would yaw 3-7. And again, I can't stress this enough, but you need to, at least this is my philosophy, you don't really have to follow it 100%, but you need to develop the idea in your head that of a sort of rigidity when it comes to, especially early govs. And the reason for that is you want to limit the fascist ability to, try to do sort of off-meta things as much as possible. And that being said, 9-5 is the meta thing, and yawing 3 would be an off-meta thing. So you can yaw 3, and then if it passes, you play off that. I was not in a position where I wanted to yaw either of 3-4. I just thought that 9-5 was fine. There's another reason I kind of have. I don't like to be in conflict that much. I think I'm good enough at the game where I can try to carry or be in a position to carry. And I prefer playing from that position rather than being in conflict. I didn't want 4 or 3 to drop after 2-6 conflicts and then env me fascist. That's the thing that also is running through my mind when I'm 90 this. So nothing too crazy there. 5 then takes Inv, and Inv's 1 liberal. So that's a bit of a mistake, I would say. I think after 2-6 comps, 1 is liberal. What is your win condition after this? So the problem with Inving 1 liberal as Hitler there is you are only pickable by 1 now in Hitler zone. So that's the only way you're going to get hailed. And there's no way either of 6-7 is going to accept not nining to 1 here. Like, you can inv a lib if they're in a position where they're not going to be term locked in the next gov, or at least not be president in the next gov and can't be SE'd. So, do whatever you want to do. You really should just be inving 1 fascist there, just because of the positioning. That's not always true. And besides, it's not like inving 1 is like game losing or anything like that. So I pick 3. I do yaw. I think I was stating, I was like, well, if 1 wants to take their gov, they can. I'm willing to yaw myself. I'd like to see the deck. There's no reason for me to 9 myself here. I already kind of think 1 is lib in my mind, probably. If 3 comps me, then I can SE 1 for sure. Now, with the benefit of hindsight, knowing 5 is Hitler, I probably wouldn't do that. But you can never know that sort of thing. So, besides, like 7-3 comping, it's kind of hard. 1 would have to pick in 4-5. Or 1 can pick in 2-6 if they're feeling confident about that sort of pick. But, anyway. Nothing too crazy there. So 1-3 comps. Now that's actually a bigger mistake than 5 inving 1 liberal in my opinion. Maybe 5 felt they were pigeonholed into config 1. But the problem is 5 is Hitler. And you need 1 to pick 5, right? If you're a fascist. So the best case scenario for you is to play a blue there. You're fascist. You can then comp 7 or comp 4. Whoever you want to conf, SE 1 becomes confirmed liberal in that case. And if you don't understand why 1 is confirmed liberal, it's just a fundamental mathematical thing. So because 2-6 conf and 3-4 or 3-7 conf, 5 inved 1 lib and they're not in conflict. So if they were liberal and 1 was fascist, they would have inved them fascist. If they are liberal, see a fascist here, inv them liberal, then they're throwing. So whether 5 is liberal or not, 1 can never be fascist under any circumstances, because the only way 1 could be fascist after there are 2 conflicts that, like let's say it's 2-6 and 3-7, the only way 1 could be fascist is for both 4 and 5 to be liberal, and then 5 would be a liberal as seeing 1 as fascist on him and not conflicting. So anyway. 3 should not comp 1. They should comp 1 of 4 or 7. And then do that. So I get SE'd, I pick 4, I yaw. Now, here's the thing. The way this game was going, the SE was always between 4 or 7. I wasn't really a big fan of 6. I didn't think their chat was too great. And I thought 2's chat was fine. I didn't see anything wrong. 1 tried to get SE'd, I think, as well, but I wound up not liking 1 for wanting SE over 4 or 7, especially SC 7 liberal. And so I was like, I want to avoid 1-5x. Oh wait, no, I take it back. I forgot. I'm playing this like as if it was a normal game where 3 played a blue and then comped somebody, but they didn't. It was 1-3 comped and 1 SE'd 7. So 1 was 1 had the SE and they were making the decision in 4-7. And I think that I resigned to 4, and that got me SE'd because they thought that if I'm fascist, that I have no win condition SEing 4 there. So they SE me, and that's fine. And I picked 4 anyway because I thought 4 was liberal, and that turned out to be correct. And unfortunately, I think I get 3 reds. No, I get force. So what do we do here? Right, I take top deck. This was the point of contention too. Let's talk about this. So what do you do after you find RBB here? Well, it's a new deck now. There's 4 blues and 12. You have 33% odds, just straight up, of top decking a blue, which means top decking a blue is generally not preferable. You don't want to be doing that. You want to try and yaw something. But the problem is simple. Who are you yawing? 1 just SE'd. So the people that you can yaw are 2, 3, and 4. Now you can yaw 2 if you have a really strong read that 6 is fascist. That's always viable. You can't really yaw 3 because you'd be calling 1-5 exact lines with 1 of 2 6. I don't think 3 is ever a viable yaw, unless you have a really strong read on 1. But when 1 SEs 7, like, I'm never going to yaw 3 here under any circumstances in seat 7 after 1 SEs me. Because what's 1's win condition, right? Like, they conf 3. 1, as a fascist, would not conf 3. They would play a blue and hope that 3 gets red, 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 or that a fascist a fascist wouldn't exist in 3-4-7. So they'd be playing a blue and hoping for red, red, red. I mean, you got to remember, like, it was 1 blue and 2 reds, right? They can afford to play a second blue and hope that anybody gets red, red, red in 3-4-7. That's not a bad play at all. So, and then 1 can go like 1-5 or whatever, and then try to shoot somebody, play it by ear from there. Anyway, the only real viable pick, I mean, 2 is kind of a viable one, but Strom was definitely yawable. I wasn't 100% convinced that Strom was lib. Who did I pick? I picked 4, so 4 could have picked 1 here. I didn't like that 4 picked Ulk. I know that 4 picked Ulk after I had said we're going to TD, because everybody knew I was out of lib by this point on chat. I'd taken forever to make all my decisions, and I'd done enough chatting to be confirmed liberal to pretty much the whole table. And so I don't know if I say I yaw Strom if he picks somebody else. I don't know who to tell him to pick. The nice thing is that 5 is Hitler, and 5's never getting picked, and so we never can lose as long as I'm yawing Strom. So, I don't know. There's an argument there. I will say that we did luck out getting a blue top deck here, but you should never top deck there. You should try to find somebody. Well, I take that back. You can top deck to 7-4, but you're eventually going to have to play somebody, right? Like, that's the problem. You can't just keep top decking to 7-4. Besides, if you're top decking to 7-4, you've already played it once, he's CNH. If you're going to play it again, the next one would be 2 top decks into veto zone. You might as well yaw 4 if you're going to be picking 4 in veto zone at some point. You have to figure out at least one other lib. So, luckily for me, I got red, red, red there, and I was able to shoot 5. And the reasoning behind shooting 5 is I wanted to initially shoot 6, but of course 6 is a non-shot. The shot is always in either 5 or 1 of 2, 3, or 1 of 2, 3, excuse me. And the reason is so that you can get to 4 without top decking, so you don't have to enter veto zone. That's why you would shoot 1 of 2, 3. You can never shoot 6, even if you're sure, 100% sure 6 is fascist. You can never shoot 6, and you really kind of can't shoot 5 for the same reason, even if you're 100% sure 5 is fascist. However, I was 100% sure 5 was fascist, so I shot 5 and they turned out to be Hitler anyway, and I was willing to top deck to 4-7 in veto zone. Actually, to be honest with you, I probably would be willing to play 1X. If 5 had turned out to be CNH, I would have... so, here's the thing. The reason I shoot 5, okay, you can't shoot 6. I thought high could be liberal, okay? But I know a fascist is in 2-6. When it came down to the shot, Dev started outing fascist. Once Dev starts outing fascist, I just have to think in my mind, okay, 1 is liberal. 4 is CNH. What is 5's lines, right? Lib lines, I mean, by the way, not fasc lines. What is 5's lib lines? Well, he has to be lib with 1, who I already think is lib, so that's good. I'm lib, so I have to be lib with him. There has to be a lib into 6. Actually, I take that back. It would have to be 2-6 fash, right? With 3. And again, during the shot, Dev is outing fascist on chat. That's just a read I made, okay? That's not something that I had the whole game. The whole game, I actually wasn't entirely sure between 1 or 3. But as soon as the shot came up, Dev just totally started outing. He literally was calling for 1 to be shot. And you can never shoot 1 under any circumstances. Because if you're going to shoot 1, you shoot 5. That's 5 imd 1 liberal. And that means that even if you are 100% sure 1-5 is fash, you shoot 5. There's no argument to be made about this. Even if you're like 100% sure they're fash, and 1 is Hitler, you still shoot 5 because that's the 100% shot. 5 can never, 1 can be liberal, 5 can never be liberal if 1 is fascist. That's how it works. So anyway, with I have dev outing. What are 5's lib lines? Well, I'm pretty sure 1 is liberal. I don't think that 135 is non-lines anyway. So with 3 outing, I know 1 is liberal. I'm liberal. That's 2 liberals down, and he would be a presumed liberal with lib lines. So 157 being 3 libs. Okay, that means that either 2-6 is fascist, or 4 is fascist with 1 of 2-6. And there's a problem there because I'm pretty sure again with just chat reads, Strom is liberal. I don't think that 4 has played the way he has played this game as a fascist. And you can watch the replay in real time, for my actual thoughts at the time. But I don't think 4 is fascist. So with 4 being liberal, the only way shooting 5 becomes wrong is if it's exactly 2, 3, 6. And I decided to shoot 5 because I didn't think that... I thought 2 was liberal. Whether it didn't matter who was liberal in 2-6, but I thought that at least 1 of 2-6 had a liberal, and that's the tilting point. 5 no longer has a single set of lines that are viable for him to be liberal, and that's why I shoot 5. And you can apply that sort of reasoning to your games, right? You just need to think critically, can this person be liberal? What liberal lines can they be? And then you just need to extrapolate based on your reads, right? Is this a 2-6 fash game where they comp each other? Is this is 1 liberal in this game after being immed by 5, even though I think 5 is very likely to be fascist? 3 is outing fascist. What implications does that have on 5 or on anyone else? It was said after to me, and I agree with this actually, that 3 is a better shot than 5. And that's because 3 is outing fascist. And I agree, 100%. I'm going to yaw 1 after I shoot 5. 100% of the time I'm yawing 1. I'm going to tell him to pick in 2-6. And... what is that? Oh, because I'm yawing 1, 3 is always fascist. So, sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. 3 would have to be fascist because they're in conflict, right? And if I'm reading one of the people in conflict as liberal, the other one, by process of elimination, is fascist. So this has been quite a lengthy explanation of this game. This is probably longer than the game I think itself was about 30 minutes long, so this is a little shorter. I would encourage you to actually go watch that game yourself. It was a fantastically well-played game, I think, by Libs. I think Dev kind of misplayed a little bit. I would say Ulk misplayed a little bit. High played pretty well. Gabe played okay, but kind of bad. Ollie, Strom, and me all played well, I would say. You can go through this. But that kind of sums up, I'm pretty much finished here. There's not much else I can tell you about this game. But if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I don't mind answering comments at all. Maybe there's something I missed, for instance. But yeah, basically, after I shoot, I'm always yawing 1x. And because I'm... Okay, this is another thing to talk about. One of the problems with shooting 5 is that you can't 9-4. But I read 1 as outed liberal. And so, because 1-3x is never lines, because 2-6 is conf, I can confidently shoot 5 and then yaw 1. Yaw 1x. And he's never picking 3. Right? In the world where 5 is not Hitler, 3 is somewhat likely Hitler. Maybe he thinks that he has to play a red for that, in which case picking in 2-6 is fine. And then, even in the world where 2 is Hitler, that's a game we might lose because I might tell him to go 1-2. I would hope that maybe 1-4 can carry me and tell him to pick 6 over 2 in the world where 2 is Hitler. But this game was not that kind of game. 2 was always regular fascist, and so was Dev was especially regular fascist actually. So I think if 5 isn't Hitler, 2 is always Hitler. So that's a way that we could have lost, and a way I could have played better. But yeah, it is what it is. We won. So take it easy. And before I go, actually, let me just say, if you have any suggestions for any of the tournament games, there's been 33 so far. If you want me to review a replay of one of the tournament games and walk you through how people played, how people should have played better, send me a comment or on Discord or whatever. And I'm always open to requests. These things are very easy for me to record, honestly. Even though it's me talking for 20 minutes straight. Like, I'm just kind of musing about the game. Like, there's not much to it. I just record it with OBS. So, with that, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this and maybe can apply some of what I've said to your games and shoot more Hitlers or shoot more liberals. And with that, I bid you adieu.